Welcome. These stories and the pictures coming out of central and western Russia right now are simply incredible. People describing the moment they saw a fireball streaking across the sky, then a sonic boom that sent a shockwave across the ground, shattering windows and damaging buildings. Well, you can only imagine the panic there. The meteor strike has left hundreds of injured, though. There is a serious side, and that's because of glass shattering mostly in buildings. But scientists say that this could be the biggest known human toll as well from a space rock. With me here in the studio is Marcus Chown. He's a cosmology consultant at New Scientist magazine and author of We Need to Talk About Kelvin. Also here is Paul Hill, who is an amateur astronomer from the Baker Street Irregular Astronomers based here in London. Gentlemen, thank you both very much for joining us. I saw these pictures. I just couldn't believe it. It was like something out of a movie. I can only imagine what your reaction was. Tell me when you first saw these pictures what you thought.
Incredible. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. It's, I mean, these objects are falling all the time. Smaller ones, bigger ones, they're falling all over the Earth through the year, but they quite often fall over the oceans, they fall over the deserts, and to fall over an urban area and be seen by so many people and cause so much damage is unprecedented.
Marcus, did you wish you were there?
I don't know, this is the first time I've actually seen the images, which is why I didn't comment on it, but I once saw in England a fireball come down the sky and split into two. So, and I just remember what an amazing sight that was.
The panic, though, you can imagine. People must have thought, am I imagining this? Is this, am I in a movie all of a sudden?
Absolutely. But I mean, there's this asteroid is passing us today, and since 1998, the NASA has found about 10,000 of such objects.
We're going to come to the asteroid in a moment, but if we can get back to Russia, this is the damage caused by it. Tell us, Marcus, what kind of speed it would have been travelling at, how it could have caused this kind of damage.
Well, obviously it must have a substantial size. You know, I mean, if it was these kind of bodies are made of stone or they're made of iron. If they're made of iron, it could be something maybe the size of this table, and they would be going incredibly fast. It could be like 50 kilometres a second. So, you know, click my fingers, it's gone 50 kilometres. So you can imagine the amount of energy when that thing hits, and it probably fragmented into several bits.
Is bits of rock from this going to be valuable and collector's items? Should people be rushing out trying to find little bits and pieces?
Valuable to science, I think, more than valuable to your wallet. Being such a famous meteorite, it probably will be quite, you know, the pieces will be worth something, but to science this will be more interesting because meteorites, asteroids, they're the seeds of the solar system. They're the original bits that the planets, the sun, they're made of. And so to actually find these bits and look at them and take them apart and see what's inside them gives us clues to how the solar system formed and what the planets are made of, what's inside Earth. We don't know really what's right inside Earth. You know, we've got some very good guesses, but you know, we can't go down there.
I'll tell you what's really important. It really is important that it's been seen and picked up, because they'll be able to work out the orbit and they'll know exactly where it came from. So it will tell us about maybe a parent body out in space, and we'll actually have in our hands chunks of this parent body. So it will tell us something more than if it had fallen and nobody saw it fall.
I mean, the thing is, Marcus, we're hearing from Russia that 6 cities were affected by this and by the sonic boom. Does that mean that in other major cities of the world, governments are preparing for something like this to happen?
Well, I mean, they do think about this.
Can you ever prepare? Of course not.
Well, I mean, you know, coincidentally, in 1908, something hit Siberia, which was about the size of a terrace of houses, and that flattened 2,000 square kilometres of Siberian forest. So potentially, I mean, fortunately, that was an empty area of the world. The problem today is that humans live on every square inch. And so these things could, if they hit a major city or whatever, be catastrophic. But, you know, we just have to... They're not incredibly common, fortunately.
They're not common,
no.
OK. Paul, it was very important earlier, before we came on air, you were saying people are getting some of the terminology wrong. Can you explain the difference between a meteor and a meteorite? Meteor
is what you see in the sky, that flash of light through the sky, a shooting star. And the meteorite is the object, is what actually hits the ground. So it's not a meteorite until it's there in the floor. We're getting reports there's at least a 6-metre wide crater that's been found so far in Russia. I was hearing that just before I got in the studio. So, but this will be from fragments. The the whole thing would not have hit the ground. A lot of it would have burnt up, a lot of it would have broken up.
OK, if anyone's seen pictures of that 6-metre crater, we would love to see them. You can send them to us here at the BBC. We're getting lots of reaction for you as well on our Facebook page. You could send them on Facebook as well. But let's have a look at some of them. Robert Monday from Nigeria is asking, how does a phenomenon of such magnitude happen without scientists making predictions or at least issuing warnings? I'm going to ask you both about that in a moment. Lindsay Colley contacted us from the US to say, relax everyone, this happens all the time, but rarely do they ever injure anyone. And Tamara has been watching the footage from Sydney, Australia. She says, wow, it's like something out of a movie. That's the sentiment echoed by Ross Amory, who is here in the UK, asking, is this Armageddon? But where is Bruce Willis? You can add your comments and join in the discussion, of course, on Facebook at BBC World. Let's answer that first question, that one from Robert in Nigeria. Why did scientists not predict this was going to happen?
Well, NASA has since 1998 been monitoring space, trying to find these, what they're called Earth-crossing near-Earth objects that could potentially hit us. And they found about 10,000. But the technology we have can only spot things which are maybe 20, 30 metres or bigger across. This was probably smaller. OK, let's talk about, I'm going to ask the director to take a nice big wide shot, and you can see what's behind us here. It's an asteroid. It's not quite proportionate, is it? But it looks so dramatic. This is what we're going to be seeing incredibly soon. I want to believe they're linked, but is it just a cosmic coincidence, this asteroid and the meteor?
They were coming from different directions. Tonight's asteroid will come from the south, will climb through to the north. What they've seen so far, this looks like this came almost from the opposite direction, came from the north and went south, went towards the east. So they're different directions. Also, we haven't reached the asteroid yet. Earth is moving, so we haven't crossed the orbit of DA14 yet, so this is a completely different body.
It's an amazing trajectory, though, that it's taking, isn't it? It's going to end up coming closer than the moon, is that right?
Very close. The moon's 300,000 miles, give or take, and this is going to be 17,000 miles away, so it's
about 7% of the distance. I mean, it's incredibly rare for anything to come between the Earth and the moon. And this thing will come actually within the girdle of communication satellites that we have. You know,
so it could hit a satellite, a telecommunications satellite, for instance.
Many people that are listening to this programme are listening to it because the signals are being bounced via geosynchronous satellites.
Oh, great, Marcus. You're telling half our audience is going to lose the signal because of this asteroid.
They're 22,000 miles away, and this thing is going to come 17,000 miles away. So within this orbit.
Yeah, it's coming very much in the human sphere. I mean, if you think of that girdle of satellites is kind of manned space, if you like. This is where we operate. Then this is coming into our territory.
It must be very frustrating if you're a lover of space and an astronomer here in the UK, because there's always so much cloud and rain. What's the forecast like for tonight?
Not bad, actually. We're holding an event tonight, and if you'd asked me on Monday, we were very close to cancelling because the weather this week, we've had snow, we've had
everything.
Pretty much everything this week. Tonight, actually looking very good now. We've got. I
can't believe that. Look, Paul, you've brought in just an ordinary pair of binoculars that you'd use at a sports game, for instance.
Exactly.
Is that going to be strong enough to see?
Yes, these are 10 by 50s, which is about the smallest size you probably want to use for astronomy. Many people hold these at home, and this will pick it up. It's not far below naked eye visibility, so.
We're going to have to finish soon, but I wanted to ask you both a sort of a bigger question, really, about life, meaning, and the universe. When things like this happen, does it, for you, put things in perspective in a way? This is the universe sort of reaching out to us and grabbing us by the throat and giving us a good shake.
Absolutely. I mean, we are not disconnected from the cosmos, and we're only thinking today about these things and potentially, if they hit, the catastrophe. But actually, an impact created our moon in the first place. The water in our oceans came from these kind of objects. We would not be sitting here if the dinosaurs were not wiped out by an asteroid 65 million years ago.
So that's the plus side of an asteroid.
Our ancestors were tiny little furry things living in holes. And because the dinosaurs were wiped out, mammals had a chance.
OK, so that's the plus side of asteroids. What do you think, Paul? Just give us a final thought.
Yeah, I mean, you know, don't want to undermine the sort of people's everyday lives, but sometimes it's the minutiae of getting up in the morning, going to work, and sometimes the universe just reminds us that it's vast and Earth is a very, very small place.
Fingers crossed, absolutely, that we have clear skies tonight and you get a great view. Thank you both so much for joining us. It's been fascinating.